All right, here we go. VSG 123, 123. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Pre-recorded edition. And we're gearing up for the Birmingham Bowl, which is Tuesday night.
No, I'm watching the Birmingham Bowl right now.
What?
We're gonna make this live Tuesday night, right?
Oh, yeah.
Watching the Birmingham Bowl.
Good point.
Tutai just missed a huge hold on his tackle, which is unfortunate. No, I'm kidding. That probably didn't play that well. Sorry.
Never know.
Oh, I'm back now. Every time you say Merry Christmas, I go out, Brandon.
Oh, well, you are Ebenezer Salam. We established that last week. So we are in the great state of South Dakota, right here, back to, I mean, really, if you think about it, it's just where the best football in the world is being played at the moment.
In the world?
Maybe the coldest football in the world is being played.
Oh, no, that'll be tomorrow. So let's get all mentally prepared for that. Or I don't know why you would. Okay, anyways, let's get into this play. Great announcement by the referee. Great play to talk about. And then we got a lot of what ifs. So here we go. And we're going to have a little, what is this? I mean, this is like shotgun option. I don't know what that is. I guess that's what it is. Obviously the ball's loose and we have a decision to make. We're killing the clock. Love how the crew gets engaged. Look at everybody getting engaged. We've got rulings. Here comes other officials.
H was really excited.
He was really excited.
He was.
Now let's listen to the referee's announcement here. Ooh, one more input by the headline.
H is still excited. H is really excited.
Very nice announcement. This would probably, in games with instant replay, this would probably go to replay 1,000 out of 1,000 times, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
No doubt.
So the ruling on the field is that basically the loose ball was touched by a player who was already out of bounds, and therefore the offense retains possession. And as you just kind of look at these angles, there's nothing indisputable to say that's wrong. I don't think that's an issue at all. So that ruling is going to stand. I think it's a good job on the field to be aware, of loose ball touching a player out of bounds. Good job controlling all this. Now let's just talk about the rules though. Let's talk about the rules. So the first thing we got to look at is this even a backward pass? Because if it's a forward pass that hits the ground, then the play's dead anyways. So would you say that's pretty close to the big line from the release point right there?
I think this one is an easy one.
That's really helpful, actually. Having your hand extend right above the big line is what we want. So quarterback should just do that all the time.
Exactly,
please
Daniel.
do. Please
exactly.
Release point to touch point. So clearly backwards, and good punch. We see down at the bottom of the screen, good punch by the line of scrimmage official. Just one thing that we've seen a lot with players running forward with the football and then attempting to throw a backward pass. Sometimes, actually quite often, the momentum of the player running forward propels the ball forward itself.
Would you call that physics, Brandon?
I'd go with physics there.
Okay.
So even though the intent is backward, it's always release point, which is right there, to touch point, which is right there. And that we have to draw a line. And that has to be parallel or backward, right? For it to be a backward pass. Agree?
Agree.
It cannot be forward, just as long as it's not a forward pass. A pass is either forward or it's not. That's the way I like to say it, personally.
It's a good way to say it. Okay. We know the result of this play as ruled so skillfully on the field is a loose ball touched by a player who's out of bounds. So where is the ball going to be next put in play?
Wait, but Brandon, can we go back? Because you made mention of there's nothing to dispute the ruling on the field. Well, I kind of don't like the ruling on the field based on the announcement. The announcement said the offensive player touched the ball out of bounds. And I think we can see that nobody on offense touched the ball. It's only the defensive player touching the ball. So I'm wondering, what would we do? But that's kind of technical, I guess, from a replay perspective. You can see a blue
Oh.
player is out of bounds touching the ball. So
Right.
it doesn't matter that offense or defense touch it. A player is out of bounds.
Correct.
We probably just
But-
want to make the announcement that way, right? Do you
Right. That was my thought and suggestion.
Yeah. But that's just me being technical.
Very technical.
It is, but it's very technical, but it also, when we think about in terms of how we present the game and credibility and all that, look, especially just from a spectator perspective, that almost looking for opportunities to shred our credibility.
Correct.
So little things like that can matter, especially if they build up throughout the course of the game.
Right. And Daniel, you're right, because that's really what the announcers and the fans, it's almost like that's their intent. So, like the replay official's job is to prove the ruling on the field incorrect. The announcer's job is to prove that the officials don't know what they're doing.
They certainly approach it that way.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Some of them. True.
Yeah. So it's just a tiny thing that instead of just saying offensive player, just say the player. The ball was touched by a player out of bounds.
Right. And again,
Exactly.
no impact relative to the ruling.
None.
Same
Right.
either way, it's a loose ball out of bounds, but perceptions matter.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. I know it
You're
took us
good.
off on
You're
a little
good.
tangent
That's
there.
good. That's a good little tweak and nice little refinement to an otherwise great announcement in my
Oh, yes.
opinion. So,
Yes,
so
yes.
very good job. Okay, now rules. Where are we going to put this ball at? Because we've really got a couple options. We've basically got the 31-yard line right here where it is when touched by that player. So we're at the 31-yard line here. All right. But this ball goes forward, doesn't it? So
Yep.
we got to ask ourselves, is it, do
Well,
we put it back?
We know.
Do we put it back where we lost possession?
Yeah, forward fumble out of bounds, we know is going back to where he lost possession, right?
Okay.
So is a fumble and a backward pass treated the same way? I guess that's the question that we're asking.
That is the question.
And they're not. They're not. So this would just go right to the out of bounds spot because it's a backward pass and not a fumble. It's a difference. I mean, a fumble is an unintentional loss of possession, right?
Correct.
And a pass is an intentional act against the football. And this is a pass that's backward, so it's loose, it's live. This ball just goes where it goes out of bounds. Now, if we deem 22 to bat this thing forward, I think we've got a different story, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And we have
And
a foul for betting.
yeah, and if this was a fumble, certainly we would have a forward fumble out of bounds and the ball would be returned to this spot. But since it's a backward pass, it's just a loose ball out of bounds and it goes to that out of bounds spot. There was never a change of possession, so the offense is going to keep the ball at that spot. So a nice little 6-yard gain off of this poorly executed backward pass, right?
I don't know if it was poorly executed. The pass was flawless. I mean, the execution issue came in with player number 22, student athlete number 22, securing the backward pass.
Yeah, and great number choice by him, by the way.
All right.
But
Okay. All right.
that's okay.
It's too many twos. 1, 2, too many.
Okay, so now let's go into this though. What if we have fouls? This gets really interesting to me. What if we have fouls and we can talk about majors and minors and all these different things? Oh my. So let's talk about holding. Let's say we have holding we don't, but let's just say we do. Let's say we have holding right here by 80. Okay, let's say this grab right here turns into a hold.
Mhm.
All right. So
Mhm.
now how in the heck are we going to enforce this? Ooh, so the spot of that foul, let's say, would be the 27, 28.
Yeah.
Just say the 28 for fun. Let's say the spot of the foul is the 28.
Yep.
We got the pass at the 25 and the
Yep.
dead ball spot at the 31. So if I go back, we would have a flag. Where did I say? 28, somewhere in here. We would have, this is the loose ball spot. And then down here at the 31, way down here is the dead ball spot. So how would we unpack this penalty enforcement?
I think this is on VSG 122. Daniel unnecessarily referenced the end of the related run. And I think this is where, Daniel, you could like necessarily reference the related run because there are technically two running plays here. One is when player number 4 has the ball, and then the second one kind of ended. It started and ended at the same time when the ball was dead. Actually, maybe you never had a second the second one.
Not
did you?
really.
You don't, yeah, it's only one. So that's great. Thank you for that. I don't know why it was necessary, but thank you for that. So where is the end of the related run in relationship to the neutral zone on this play, Tuto?
Yep.
That's a good question too.
This
I don't
arrow
know
up
where
here,
the neutral zone was.
right here.
Where,
It's
where was the
right
line of
here.
scrimmage?
That's the previous spot.
Oh, okay. Well, it's beyond. So
Beyond the neutral zone.
beyond. And the foul is beyond the end of the related run. So we would enforce it from the end of the related run.
And since
And
that
so
runs,
what is the relevance of the related run in relationship to this play? That's going to end up being our basic spot, correct?
Correct.
that's right. Now, even if number 22 recovered this ball at the white arrow inbounds, we would still relate this foul to this run that we're talking about, correct?
That's
Sure.
correct. That's
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, so it would be easy in that case, or even in this case, to just look at the spot of the foul and say, well, it's behind where the dead ball spot is. So let's go from the spot of the foul. But we got to ask Daniel on his related run. Daniel, is that your third new puppy of the last year?
That is
That would
not
be the
young.
that would be the
That's
salam.
Yeah,
Ah.
that's a young household. Tuto's dogs missed the salam, Mr. and Mrs. Salam, I think. So
Oh,
that's
I bet they
allowable.
did. I bet they did. So, it's easy just to look at because we said a couple sessions ago, you got to get the football down at the result of the play, right? But so what do we need here at the black? We technically, and I don't think we do very often, but very technically we need a beanbag.
We got to
Like
know where it
this.
is. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
I
to know
mean,
where it is.
You think about that. Do we put beanbags down on backward passes beyond the neutral zone? I don't know, because maybe they just don't happen very often. I have no idea.
Yeah, you don't see that as a habit, but it's really because look, we said that all of the fouls, if this OH occurs during the loose ball, that end of the related run will still be our basic spot. But if 22 catches this pass behind the neutral zone, and now my man over here, the widest team A player, I think it's number 8, commits a hold. Well, that's going to be a very different thing because we have a related run. Depending on where it ends, right? We could end up with a different basic spot.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So that was a hold behind. So now let's go to if this
Wait, we drove past the we don't normally put a beanbag down situation. Will we ever advocate for an official? We never do it. We literally don't ever do it.
We do on fumbles, but not on backward passes.
Correct. Are we advocating for an official to drop a bag there?
I mean, we need that. We could potentially need that spot, and it's an enforcement spot. Don't
we
you
just
think,
showed
Tuto?
that it's the enforcement spot. So
I
technically,
know that, but
yep.
playing the result, we're saying put a bag down. We never put a bag down. Are we saying that we should generally put a bag down there?
Why do you think we don't? Sincerely, I don't.
Because we just assume that the pass is going to be caught. I guess I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't.
And even if it was caught, we still need that bag. We still need that spot.
Potentially.
Well, here's the deal. We see this play very, 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 very often. So a line of scrimmage official will be dropping a beanbag on 90 out of 160.
No. I challenge that.
I don't think we see backward passes beyond the line of scrimmage.
We see it behind the neutral zone.
Oh, I see. Okay, my bad. I see where we are. Okay, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't even thinking about the line of scrimmage portion. But yeah,
Right.
obviously
because then we don't need it, right, Tuto? Because the end of the run is ending behind
previous
the line
spot.
of scrimmage.
Yeah, 'cause it was
Exactly.
Behind the neutral zone, rather.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yep.
We're good. We're good. Hang on. Let's have more fun. Let's say this hold happens back here. Okay. So now, and it's during the same, well, it doesn't really matter in this case because the ball just goes out of bounds, but it's during this run. Let's say the hold happens back there. So now end of the run is still at the 25, correct?
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's the basic spot. 3-1 spot of the foul is by the team in possession of the football behind the basic spot, but it's a blocking foul behind the previous spot, which turns the enforcement spot all the way back here to the previous spot in this case. Correct?
Yep.
That might be really interesting to get to if we just got a lot of things happening on this play. All right. It's easy doing it diagrammed out like this, but we just got to make sure we understand previous spot. It all still applies if the foul is behind the neutral zone. Okay.
I'm still back on this beanbag thing.
Okay.
I want to put a bow on that. So line of scrimmage officials, and obviously we're no one supervisor, and we
Mhm.
don't tell people what to do, but that may be something for line of scrimmage officials to consider. If the
Yes.
run, if there is a backwards pass beyond the line of scrimmage, neutral zone, whatever you want to call it, it may
Right.
be a good idea to drop a beanbag. That may be something to think about.
It is a needed thing, and it just so
Correct.
happens it's very seldomly needed. But just like we mark fumbles with beanbags, we should really be marking backward passes beyond the neutral zone with beanbags as well. Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
All right, now let's turn this action right here into illegal hands to the face by the defense. Okay,
By the
illegal hands to the face by the defense. So that's a major, right? That's UNR, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so just tack it on,
Eh.
right?
Ooh.
Nope. Why not?
Because it occurred during the loose ball period, after the end of the first run. It's only tacked on
Yeah, here we go.
for
We'll all forget about what you
Passing
just said.
plays.
Let's talk about why we tack on majors.
it's totally hold on. All right, now I'm gotta go thumb through my
So
rule book here.
It's a foul by the team not in possession
Yeah,
Correct.
when the run ends beyond the neutral zone.
Correct.
Into the
Yeah.
related. So they enforce the basic spot is the end of the related run still, right?
Yep. But what's lacking here, what's missing for this, because it's, I guess it's, man, maybe this is the lazy approach, but you think about it, the rules say, if we have major during, I keep calling it major, I don't know if I should be, during a legal forward pass play, then we just add it to the end of the play if there's no
Correct.
change of possession.
Correct.
correct.
Right. So I don't know if that's where you should start. That's kind of where I start with.
Well, that's where I was going, and you
Yeah.
shushed me. I didn't appreciate you
Well,
shushing me.
because
You were confused and you were
when
going
I
to the
get-
rule book.
when I flush that, then we just go into pure 3-and-1.
Right.
If we don't have a legal forward pass play, we go into pure 3-and-1, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were thinking about it kind of probably the right way, and I was thinking about it backwards. But my way is easy and more efficient, and honestly, I'm just smarter. So we can't just.
I went
we
straight to the enforcement spot without any of that extraneous conversation you guys just had. So
Well, we got to know the rules. I mean, we got to know why we're not tacking it on, and then we got to just follow 3-and-1, which you said here. So we're going to go 15 from the spot of the backward pass
into the related run.
into the related run,
Which is the
because
basic spot.
because that's the basic spot, and it's a foul by the defense.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on. So you guys are so smart. Let's put this guy up here has illegal hands to the face. Now we're behind the neutral zone.
Defense or offense?
Defense. Now we're team B fouls. We did team A fouls. Now we're doing
Okay.
team B fouls.
I don't think that matters.
Same thing.
Yeah, that
Basic
doesn't
spot.
matter. It literally doesn't
Basic
matter.
spot.
3-and-1. Enforce it from the basic spot.
You can
Right.
put the defensive foul on Mars. That doesn't matter.
That's right. Exactly. Although it'd be really
Um,
interesting. That would be really good dead ball officiating.
I don't know what Mars' relationship is to the neutral zone, but if it's behind or beyond, then yeah.
So that would be excellent. So even a defensive foul back here, we need this spot. We're going 15 yards this way.
That is interesting. This is blowing my mind. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good penalty enforcement play
Yeah,
because
we
the
need that
run
spot.
ends beyond the neutral zone.
I think the whole point is we need that spot.
We need the spot. We need
need
that
the
white
spot.
spot right
That's right.
there. I'm trying to think if there's any other scenario. Are there any other interesting fouls? Not really. I mean, that's the thing. Penalty enforcement is actually pretty simple. There's really 4 scenarios, right? It's the foul either by the team in possession or the team not in possession. And then the foul is either beyond or behind the basic spot. But then we just have to know all the exceptions. So
Correct.
blocking fouls by the offense behind the neutral zone. Things we do need to know, like fouls that occur in legal forward pass plays. But if we don't have a legal forward pass, we don't even get into that bucket of penalty enforcements anyway.
What if the big line is the line of scrimmage?
Oh,
So where do you put the end of the
Ooh.
related run? Because
I think the run's got to be beyond the neutral zone. So in that case, I think we just revert back to the neutral zone as our enforcement
then-
spot.
You would consider that behind the neutral zone?
It's at or behind. At or behind is always the same thing, right? I mean, I feel like that's what we've always done. At or behind. If we're at the neutral zone, we're behind the neutral zone.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know
mean-
if that's absolutely true or not.
Well, in terms of basic spots, it's not, but it may be
Hmm.
helpful to think about it that way. I mean, it just says previous spot when the run ends behind the neutral zone, and then
Oh,
end of the related run when the run ends beyond the neutral zone. So
so there's a little vacuum of.
there's a there's a vacuum. So maybe the at or behind is a good way to think about it, so we can be consistent. I don't know.
I think so.
And of course, in terms of our enforcement spot, moving up and down the field, it won't matter. But as we've laid out in 122 and 121, it certainly could matter relative to the lateral spot.
So vacuum is actually an
Ah.
astronomical term. I know we're
Oh,
doing.
Lord.
Okay,
doing a
here we
lot
go.
of-
We're back on Mars.
Yeah, we went to Mars and now we're doing vacuum. Most people think just like a vacuum cleaner, but vacuum is actually an astronomical type of term.
Mm.
But continue. Just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. We're all better for it.
Hey, if this was an illegal bat right here, if this was an illegal bat,
We would just be heroic if we start doing that kind of stuff. Let's
I
just
know,
be honest.
but
Well, you
let's
just
say-
want it real stupid
Well, hang on.
obvious. Like maybe it's going over his head out
Right,
of bounds and he just
exactly.
jumps up and slaps it forward.
right.
Come on, let's call that an attempt to catch the ball, please. I mean, this
Maybe.
dude has to literally
Maybe.
Barry Bonds the ball for us to call this a bat.
So he
Maybe
does.
so.
Let's say
Why
he
would
does.
an A player be batting a loose ball that he's attempting to possess? It just, I mean, come on.
I hear what you're saying.
But
Maybe he's
continue on.
contested. Maybe
All right,
he's
let's go.
contested
Who
and he's
knows?
trying to he bats the ball away from his opponent
All right.
and it goes forward. So if
And then
that's
the
if
dog
that's
ran
the
on
case,
field and all this other stuff. Then the ball.
Well, we
If
were in
that's the
Mars
case-
30 seconds ago, so I think we can entertain this enforcement.
exactly. I know. I love how you put a foul on
Gosh.
Mars and now you're talking about an illegal bat forward as just something that could never happen. But we would be spot of the foul here, right? Because the run is still the run. That's where that ends. And then
Yep.
we have spot of the foul behind.
Yeah.
In all likelihood, we probably have this kind of on the same line, but that's fine. And so in that case, what's funny is I believe the spot of the foul does win, even if it's tied with the previous spot. I believe we established that.
Yes, it has to be behind the neutral zone.
Yeah.
But actually, this
Well-
this would be a foul against the ball, so it kind of doesn't even matter. That
It's
exception
a little
doesn't
bit
even
different.
count.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
It does
Yeah, the
fall
foul
in
against the
that
ball is going to go where it is. Period.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. All right. Any other what ifs on this? Is just a great play to test rules knowledge, to just think about, we do need a beanbag on pretty much all loose balls beyond the neutral zone. I mean, if it's a forward pass, it's a flag. If it's a fumble, it's a beanbag. If it's a backward pass, it has to be a beanbag.
Correct.
So, okay.
And if it's a forward pass and he bats it, that's okay. Another reason we want to know. What is
New
that?
Orleans Bowl. Tuta, were you at the game?
I was not. I honestly was
Nobody
planning.
else was either.
Oh, that's not fair.
Well, I thought I saw Tuta over here with the ball boy bag. I thought that was you, my man.
I was gonna go and do all of that, but I had to work that day. And then the game kicked off at 8 p.m.
Kicked off
Central
at 8
time.
p.m. I mean,
That is
Wow.
come
ungodly.
on,
late.
New Orleans, be better.
I don't.
ESPN.
It's on TV.
It was the
The
only game of
TV
the day.
They had a college basketball game. leading into
Exactly.
it.
That's the thing
Daniel,
that made me
do you
so
not-
angry.
Do you not know how TV works?
I know it's the New Orleans Bowl, so I just feel like the city could exercise some better judgment.
A tremendous venue, by the way. Tremendous. One of the greatest venues. Not one of. Dare I say the greatest venue
Oh my gosh.
in the
Well-
world when it comes to sports.
It's Western Kentucky South after this game.
Ouch.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. What do we have here? 16 seconds, second
Yes.
quarter. So we're end of half, aren't
Yes.
we?
Yes, we are.
All right. Play clock's running, games clock's not. So we're okay. We're
Hold on,
clock is
timeout.
stopped.
We're
All
not
right.
okay. We're
Oh.
not okay.
Oh,
Team A has 0 timeouts remaining. We absolutely have to
Ooh.
know that.
yes, we do.
Brandon, you have some experience with that. Don't want to bring up old scars. Oh, Daniel, you were there too.
What are we talking about?
team A time or any team has
Oh,
timeout remaining at the end
yes.
of a half. We have to know
Yes.
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
We
I
have
didn't
to know that.
Good point.
387 days ago. Okay, keep going.
Did you make that up, or you know for a fact that
That's
it's
pretty
really-
close to accurate. It's pretty close to accurate.
It's not. But go ahead.
What's the date today?
December 23rd.
Oh, not quite accurate. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, no, like what, 376?
No, I'm done. Bro. I just wanted to point that out. You said we were good. I just want to make sure we're not good unless we know that one
Yeah,
team
so-
has 0 timeouts remaining. We
Right. So
gotta know the
just
timeout
very,
stats.
very simply, if this play ends short of the goal line, do not honor a timeout by the guys in the white jersey.
And it'll be easy to do that because
Please.
it's gonna be pandemonium. We know it's gonna be pandemonium, but we as officials have to be ready to work this play.
Yep. So it's a dead clock. So we probably communicated if we're utilizing O2O about goal line mechanics and we're comfortable with what the crew has set up here, correct? Deeps are back on the pylons. We're good.
Sure.
So one thing I see, and I don't know what different crews do if you work with alternate officials. A
Hmm.
lot of times the crews would have the alternate officials stand at the line of scrimmage to help because sometimes the line of scrimmage officials would be going to the goal line. So normally the alternate official stands at the 3-yard mark, which is the
Mhm.
IDP line. However, when we get into goal line mechanics, a lot of times the line of scrimmage officials like the alternate official to stand at the goal line because of forward backwards pass and other situations like
Kinda.
that. So
Kind of like the play we looked at last, the first play,
yes,
alternate, we can leverage his judgment, his or her judgment standing right here because we know we're moving to the goal line.
correct. So that's just something to consider. Whatever you want to do. I'm not telling you
Right.
what to do. If you want the alternate to stand at 3 still, fine. Okay. But just think about that as well. It's something to consider.
Yeah. Every bowl game has an alternate. Daniel, I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
I'm new here, so.
Okay.
You know, I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
So let it play. And here, sure enough, like how does this
Oh
happen?
boy.
We'll let it play and then we're going to break down all this.
Was that a
So
catch? Hold on.
Here we go. We got to go back. Yep.
Oh,
We're going to
boy.
go back. Let's just let this whole thing play out.
45 was trying to strip the ball from the umpire.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's what it was.
Correct. This is
Very
crazy.
unsuccessfully.
And then we've got this
Ooh.
play
Jesus.
and we've got here's another view, letting all this just play out in real time.
Oh, I don't like that ball out. 18
This-
misses it complete.
We've got replay mechanics to discuss because there's a lot of smoke around that first pass. We've got getting the ball spotted. We've got to get players set. We've got DPI. We've got roughing the passer. We have everything on the table. Look at this. And then we've got catchability of a pass. So we've got to talk a lot about a lot of things. I mean, we don't have to, but we're going to because it's so much fun. All right, we're back. So what do you want to do first? The catch?
Let's go in order. Yeah, in order of
Start with the
events.
catch.
All right. So of course, Daniel, we got to have body part. We got to have control. We've got to have time. Oh boy.
Oof.
So we could have incomplete pass. We could have fumble. We could have down by rule.
Down by rule.
Which is ultimately what we rule.
Yeah.
I don't know what we ruled. Yeah, I guess that is by default. We had to have ruled that.
Yeah.
Correct.
And look, I think the umpire is doing a great job here. This
Yes.
is,
Absolutely.
I don't know if
Great
this-
awareness.
I'm not sure if, we would want the center judge running up here and providing another body into this
No.
equation or
I
not.
think this
but-
just makes sense.
By the way, the
It does.
umpire's VSG's finest, Mr. Rod Tucker.
Exactly.
That's
Good
right.
job, Rod Tucker, on the ball.
Great job.
So that was excellent. I mean, that was just excellent work right there. Just having awareness, and he even moves it laterally. I'm not sure. I mean, look at, we can go back to the catch here in a second, but obviously the dead ball spot is position 5.
Right.
Rod gets the ball, and nobody would care in this situation. I know we want to be mindful of lateral spots. If he just puts the ball down right there without this guy rudely trying to strip him of the football.
Yeah. I didn't.
Like,
Yeah.
that's
And so
crazy.
what if? Well, let's just go in order. Never mind.
Well, yeah, we got to get to the catch first.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's a great job by the umpire, Mr.
fantastic.
Tucker. Good job.
That's
Okay.
fantastic.
All right, let's go to the catch. Daniel, what do you got here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I look there. This is really. I'm excited to get to the replay mechanics of it because I think that's really interesting too. Because you got to be careful here. because you can inadvertently provide an advantage to one side or the other based
Yes.
upon what replay ends up doing.
Especially since
I-
pre-snap, we talked about having no timeouts.
Exactly right. It's just so hard to see the details here. I really wonder if we ever have really firm control of this ball. I don't know that he sticks it. It looks like he does, but when we watch it, especially from this angle here, it's always kind of sliding down past his waist as the defender gets his hand in there, and it comes out as soon as he
Oh
hits
my
the
God.
ground. So is it
Wow.
a lack of firm control, or is it A18 with his right hand ripping it out after gaining firm control? Because that could be relevant too. So I don't know, man. I think
Ooh.
it's really, really tight. I think it's really tight.
I know we have some plays coming up that we're going to talk about. So we don't use slow motion. Oh, now, okay. I guess I'm already jumping into replay, but I was just thinking about this. The ruling on the field is going to be what the ruling on the field is. From a replay evaluation, you don't use slow motion to evaluate time, but you can use slow motion to evaluate control. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes,
So-
and timing of the loss of control as well,
Yeah, absolutely.
relative to the ground.
So Tutai,
yeah.
do you guys think he sticks this? Or are we
I-
working to gain firm control as we're running? Because
I
that's
have-
important.
I
on this
know.
play.
I think I have a stick, honestly, but
Okay.
Me too.
the defender's hand is in there, and that kind of skews my judgment, honestly.
Yeah. I think I'm maybe on the other side that there's not a stick and we're working a little bit to gain firm control. And if that's the case,
Oh, well, your ruling is easy then if you don't have firm control.
well, I'm not saying
Correct.
we never have firm control. But so just go with me here. If we're just officiating this action on the field and we feel like there's not a stick and we're having to work to gain firm control, maybe even we do get firm control with the time span, with when this ball comes out, if we didn't stick it, we can almost guarantee we're going to go incomplete because we don't have the element of time satisfied, because it's really fast from the time the ball gets there to the time that we go down and the ball comes out.
Right.
But DY, if we do have a stick, we can almost guarantee it's a catch because it takes the
that's a great point.
defender
Yeah.
ripping the ball out.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah. And then I think if we have a stick, then I think we satisfy the element of time. As
Mhm.
close as it is, I agree with you. I think we would go catch there.
Right.
And
Well,
then again, go ahead.
No, I'm good with that. So okay, so we do have a catch. I like this as a catch, and I think really quickly from a replay perspective, I would like this as a catch. Next step is,
well,
did the ball come out before that knee went down?
sure.
Because then we have to consider if that is a catch, if the ball came out before the knee came down, we have an immediate recovery, clear and obvious immediate recovery by the defense. Wait, maybe I'm jumping ahead. Are we still on the field? Are we in
We're
the
good.
replay?
We're good. I just think that this is why forget about officiating to replay, because we'll get to replay mechanics here in a second, but you can't indisputably say either ruling is really wrong, in my opinion.
Correct.
Because I'm not sure you can prove, if we rule incomplete, I'm not sure you can prove he had control this whole way.
Right.
If we rule catch, there's no way you can prove that he didn't immediately stick it either. Especially they just didn't have a whole lot of great angles here to use, and it's just a lot of traffic in there, and the bodies are turning. So I'm not sure. That's why just make the call, man. Just make the call, right?
Right. And I think that's what the officials on the field did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're gonna have the best angle on the field, so
Right.
let's just make the call.
I just feel like there's a little movement right there when you do it in slow motion, but I don't know. It's really tight. Great play.
Yeah, I think so. That's why I'm
agree.
saying you can't prove it wrong either way,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
the beauty of just making the call as
Make
you
your
see it.
call and just own it.
So Daniel, in absence of evidence, we're on the field, not in replay. In absence of evidence, when you're evaluating that play, in absence of evidence that this is not firm control, are you going to lean towards making it a catch or lean towards making it incomplete?
That's a good question. I think, although this is a little counterintuitive, I think on this play, I'm going to lean towards making it a catch.
Me too. but it's weird, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
That's not really how we want to officiate these globally. But I'm thinking about it from the back judge perspective. When I see the ball go into his midsection like that, if I don't know that there's not firm control, I was just thinking about how would I do this if I'm on the goalpost there. I don't see myself coming in and wiping this out if I don't. Now, maybe there's a window there because you never know, right? Like you can see things that
Exactly.
you wouldn't expect to see. Maybe there's a window and I just know that there's a bobble here just before he brings it into his stomach. And I feel like the element of time isn't satisfied, then I could wipe it out. But it's really interesting, that question, because we know we don't want to just do that where we're just going to default to catch. That
Right.
causes a lot of problems. But in this particular one, for whatever reason, I feel like if I don't know that there's a bobble there, I'm probably just going to let this go as a catch.
And I think for me also, and I know we don't use steps in NCAA officiating
Right.
relative to evaluating the catch process, but this dude took like 2-3 steps and went to the ground, and the ball was just not clearly loose for a long period of time. I didn't say he had firm control, but it
Right.
was not clearly loose for
Yeah.
such a long period of time that I think my brain would just default to, man, he just maintained firm control for
Right.
quite a period of time.
Well, and the defender rides him so far.
I
You know, this
know.
is the hand. This white glove is the hand of the defender on the ball, way out here by the numbers almost.
Right.
And I mean, they go for a while, and then now he has to rip the ball out. And
Right.
sure, I mean, maybe perhaps that was just pinned against his arm or something and not in control. But live, I just don't think you can say for certain either way. And with this action, it feels like a catch. It feels like
It
a
does.
catch more than incomplete, but it's suspect.
All right.
Let's go to, so, okay, if you're in the booth, right? If you're in the booth, how do we want to work this? So you've got, I mean, is this smoke? This
Yeah,
is
I
smoke,
think
right?
it's smoke. I think it's
I
smoke.
think this
Little bit of
qualifies as smoke. This play has to be stopped. I mean, to me, do you think this play has to be stopped? Because if
I
we
don't think it has to be stopped until the defense picked the ball up. If the offense would have
Okay.
picked the ball up, I think I would have left it alone.
Oh, yes. Oh,
But
that's a great
because
point.
the defense picked the ball up, now we have a potential change of possession. So catch, no catch, okay, maybe, but change of possession, that's important.
Since we rule catch and down by rule, great job by the umpire. Clock is ticking because there was obviously no first down gained. In the booth, you have to let this go all the way to the snap when the snap is imminent, right? Well, the incorrect mechanic would be just stopping this play right away. Like all of a sudden, we get a page like right now. We wouldn't want that. You see what I'm saying? Because if we come back with the ruling on the field stands,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
which it would, we would be giving this team a free timeout, and they would have all kinds of time and possibly to run like 2 plays. So we wouldn't want a page now. We would not want a page now. We would not want a page now. We would want it's the ball snap page right now. And we could always go back because we know they got the snap off. Now we're going to talk about the formation here in a second, which we need to handle. We know they got the snap off. So this is when we would want a page, and we can always go back to this time. Since we know they got the snap off, if the ruling on the field stands, we can give them one more play,
Appropriately
assuming
that they would have gotten
right,
it.
that they would have gotten anyway. Exactly. That's if the ruling on the field is a catch. We want to use those mechanics of letting that clock run down either to 0 or when the snap is imminent. Now, if the ruling on the field is incomplete, we have a stop clock. So, I mean, we can page anytime, right?
Sure.
We don't have to do
Yeah.
all that.
Hey, did you kick me out because I was making such a great point, Brandon?
No.
Oh my God,
I do want to go back to your point because I'm not following. I'll finish one
Doesn't
thought and
make
then
any
let's go.
sense.
And then let's go back to it. If the ruling on the pass was incomplete, obviously, if we go ahead and stop this, so we can, if we come in and wipe this out, ruling on the pass incomplete. I mean, you can page anytime you want. Just page, I don't care, right? And we do have the immediate recovery, so we want to think about that. But you'd be paging now, and then if you put this as a catch and down, then certainly we would have a 10-second runoff out of that replay. If we overturn from incomplete to a catch and down, we'd have a 10-second runoff. So we lost your connection to that. We were talking about since the ruling on the field is a catch, the replay official really needs to let this clock, let this go all the way to when this play is snapped right here.
Yep.
Confirm that they got a snap off with time. We'll talk about the formation in a second. Or just let the clock go to 0 and then page. So they can page now, and we can always go back to this spot because we know they got the snap off. Now, what were you saying about a turnover?
So I think what I was saying is, and I think probably from what I was doing is jumping the gun to prior to the ball being snapped. And I think that's a great lesson for replay officials. Don't get all excited and just automatically start hitting the button.
Right.
Because I think I want to hit the button here because I'm like, oh my God, it's a change of possession. I need to hit the button, but we don't even know if the team is going to get another a snap off. So I think your great point trumped my even more amazing.
All right. I don't think your connection is very strong. You still with us? Nope. All right. You might need to go to your 5G hotspot there. Okay. So this can get pretty hectic, DY, right? We're getting the ball down. Great job by Mr. Tucker. What constitutes the offense getting set here?
Well, before we go there, I think this is interesting too. And I love, we've already kind of pointed this out, the way the umpire handles just getting the ball down and taking charge of the situation is awesome.
Yes.
I think he manhandles B4 over here when B4 gets his recovery and the immediate continuing action. So love that. Just kidding. But love the way he goes and gets a ball. But it's interesting. We see 45 here when he's trying to strip the ball. And obviously there's no impact on his actions, but it's interesting. What if he gets his hand in here and he sends this ball careening back down here towards B24 a couple of yards.
Yeah.
And now we got to go and chase it. And then we come up and we get the ball set and Team A doesn't have the opportunity to get a snap off.
Yeah.
That's a totally different situation.
I think delay of game is certainly supportable there. If the defense knocks the ball out of the official's hands,
what about
prevents
UNS? What about
prevents
UNS?
us from doing our job. I don't know. I guess, is it UNS? Is that how it's coded in the rules? I don't know.
The yardage wouldn't matter. Obviously, the yardage
would not matter.
But I mean, that's clearly an unfair act. I would think that this dude is intentionally interfering with the administration of the game.
Yeah. So you more support UNS?
If he successfully bats that ball out of my hand and Team A can't get a snap off, golly, man, that is totally a patently unfair act.
Okay. I think
and with your grip, I mean, there's a good chance that he probably does.
No, Daniel, I've been working
Rod's
on
got
my
that
grip
man
lately.
grip.
Grip strength. It's just great work by the umpire, Mr. Rod Tucker. And then, okay, let's talk about the formation. So what constitutes getting set?
That ain't set. How about that? Let's just say that ain't it.
So who are you looking at particularly?
Number 21, the back for sure. And that's difficult for the line of scrimmage officials.
Yeah.
But yeah, Daniel, I agree. The right tackle is still going down in his stance when the ball gets snapped.
We somehow got to catch our breath here.
Yes.
And make sure we take care of our pre-snap, and either one of these players really is never set, and that turns into a false start, doesn't it?
Yes.
What happens then?
10-second runoff, half.
10-second runoff.
So here's what's really interesting about this other aspect that we talked about when these two things collide. I mean, I think the replay paging is replay paging, and so that's what it is. But it's going to be tough to explain to the Team B coach because we're working false start, which ends the game or the half rather, and then we're going to page at the same time. Because remember, we said we're not going to page because the clock is running until Team A gets to the point where they're snapping the ball.
Correct.
And that's our window. So if we're paging and then we're calling false start to end the half, but we're going to come back and say stands.
Well,
here's the thing. To incomplete pass.
Here we go. Here we go. All right. Here's what this is great. I want to put this out.
To incomplete. Well,
there's no
half
facts.
anyway.
No, think about this.
No, we wouldn't.
No, hang on. Let's just go in sequential order here. We've ruling on the field's catch and down. We get the ball spotted masterfully. We've talked about that. We have a false start for not everybody getting set. Look, the false start is there. Now, if replay wants to page, they can page. We haven't had a legal snap yet.
Correct.
right? So
Yes.
if they overturn, if they are gonna stay with catch, then it's a 10-second runoff and the half is over. If
Yes.
they are gonna overturn to incomplete, the false start goes away.
Yes, it does. And
The
team A
false
gets
start goes
another
away.
gets another
Wait,
Absolutely.
play.
wait. Say that again.
Okay,
If they
Ruling
stay
on-
with catch,
ruling on the field's a catch. If they stay with catch,
correct.
then the false start is enforced. 10-second runoff.
Oh,
Absolutely.
but I mean,
absolutely.
it's not a false start until the ball is snapped.
Correct.
That's fine.
But even if they
That's fine.
call it a catch, then we still, well, the ruling on the field will be,
But
ooh,
We cannot, the whole point of it is we cannot allow a replay stoppage to create a timeout.
that's
I'm
really
enforcing
tricky.
the false start, 10-second runoff. It was a catch. There was a false start. We got paged.
But
Because
you
then I'm just
can't have a
saying,
page until
we
the-
got,
by rule. I mean, I know how we're working this
Exactly.
mechanically. We don't have a page once the ball snapped. You can't page.
we never had a legal snap. Never had a legal snap here if we have a false start.
So,
I
okay.
know that's a little bit backward, but I guess.
I don't disagree. I think that's
how
what
I'm
needs to
working.
happen. That's what needs to happen. You can't let that false start go away. Replay can't save them out of that false start. I agree. It's just a little bit unique. So let me ask you this: if we reverse to incomplete, why? Because we're going from running to stopped.
correct.
If we
So there's
reverse
no
to
10-second
incomplete,
runoff.
if we reverse to incomplete, now I'm gonna argue out of the other side of my mouth. We never had a snap. We we never had the opportunity for a snap. The play was stopped. The play was stopped by rule, by replay. We ignore the false start. It's incomplete. We go back to the previous spot. I mean, it really would be about the same thing anyways, quite frankly. But we're not going to enforce a false start from the incomplete, the other previous spot. You know what I mean? If
I'm
we're
struggling
enforcing-
I'm struggling with stands though, Brandon. That's the one I'm struggling with.
Okay, so let's just make sure, let's just go through it and point out any flaws or strengths in the argument. Sequentially, ruling on the field is a catch and down.
Yep.
Replay properly. Let's really, so they're waiting to see if offense is going to snap it.
Correct.
That's the proper mechanic.
Correct.
Or the clock go to zero. Okay, in this case, we have a false start with, let's say, 1 second on the clock.
Correct.
And at the same time, because the ball's being snapped, replay pages.
Correct. Even afterwards. I think they can even
Sure,
afterwards.
but for all, I mean, that's really all happening at the same time in the terms of the game.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So now, if replay stays with catch, I'm saying that false start is penalized.
That I
because
don't like. I just
we
don't
have
like
to.
that.
You cannot allow them to get out of that with an illegal action.
I agree you can't allow them to get out of it, but I don't agree that we can go back and say, oh, by the way, well, yeah, it is a false start. Because if
It's interesting.
what the
Because they
instant
got-
replay official
Because they
is
didn't
doing,
really get the snap off.
I know that.
What
I
I'm
know
saying,
that.
like,
They really didn't get the snap off
and
legally.
it's not a false start until the ball snapped. Though.
Correct.
This kind of
well,
false start.
Yeah,
no, Yep, it's because it's a
if I-
shift that converts.
That's
So,
correct.
not
And
a
by
problem.
paging, what we're saying is we're going back to prior to any of this action, and we're going to evaluate that action. So now what we have is down by rule, but then we're not changing the ruling on the
There's
field.
nothing changed.
So then we
That's
can't
the
do a
conundrum.
10-second runoff. That's the problem.
See, to me, it's a retroactive stoppage
What if you do this?
that happens slightly after the false
So
start.
here's
and
what's
that
good.
false start is-
Let's just talk about this practically, what it would look like if the replay works the way we kind of described earlier. And then we also nail this false start. So golly, I thought I had an answer and now I don't because I worked through it. But okay, so the
Mhm.
line of scrimmage official at the top or bottom is coming in. Those are flagged. Now we're getting paged. I've got false start. Number 71 never got set. Prior to this, it's part of the snap, false start, whatever. 71 never got set. 10-second runoff by rule. The half is over. But wait a second. The ruling of a completed catch is under further review.
And guess what you're going to say, Daniel, as a referee?
Prior
To the ball
snapped.
being snapped, the
Yeah.
replay process was initiated, which means there was no
Right.
false start.
Right.
That's probably hard to argue with right there.
Yeah, but then
Oh,
we're
man.
stuck. Now we're
But
stuck.
we
Ooh,
really
this is
cheated
tough.
the defense.
And
We
you got to
did
go
cheat the
explain that to
defense.
Team B coach.
Yeah, we're going to give them another play.
We are.
Oh,
It's gonna be a wind out of
Absolutely.
replay with 1
Abs-
second on the clock. And if
And
they're organized, they can snap it.
correct. Well, they're going to be
Okay.
organized because we're going to tell them what we're doing.
Exactly.
So they can either get
I
their,
just-
their field goal team on, or they're going to get the offense back out, which is probably going to be the field goal team.
It's funny because if they would have, so I guess where my mind's going is if they would have legally snapped the ball, that means everybody would have been set and the clock would have been at 0. And that's why I think the false start should still
Yeah,
exist.
that's-
But I think you're right. I don't think we can do that. I've changed my mind. I don't think we can. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. It's not a foul until the snap. There was no snap
Was no
because
snap.
we instituted replay.
Correct.
Because
And,
by rule, you can't there, again, regardless of the mechanics, of how we're going to work it, by rule, you can't stop a play once a ball snap. So it's got to be before the ball snap. You can't have a false start until the ball snap.
And I guess I
It's
was
kind of false start.
thinking, well, we could call the false start. See, I still say this, we can call the false start. Well,
Brandon,
we can't because it's a ball. Okay,
yeah,
here's the difference. Let's say the running back jumps. It's a flinch.
Oh yeah,
instead of
then
not
I think
getting
you can
set.
have a false start.
That's kind of where I was going. So that would be
Yeah,
a false
absolutely.
start.
I agree with that
We-
for sure.
We were going to say 10-second runoff there, then replay pages us. That would, then if the ruling on the field stands, we would still be okay to enforce the false start. But here, you're right, it's not technically a foul before the snap. We said there's no snap because we're honoring the replay. Holy smokes. This is nuts.
I don't even know if I like the flinch part.
Yeah, because you can always review a play without a legal snap.
But how can you retroactively go back and say, oh, by the way, y'all know we reviewed it and I know where the ruling on the field stands, but this dude flinched. So let me go back and say he flinched.
Because that foul doesn't,
Ah,
I don't think that foul goes away if we don't change the call. I mean, the ruling on the field stands. If he jumps or falls out of his stance, of course, that's not what happened. We're talking about a totally
no,
different. false
right.
start.
But I don't know if I like that either.
Yeah, I see a big difference there. And I don't like it. I think
I
it
do
should-
see a difference. I agree that there's
I
a
just-
difference, but I still just don't like it. I don't think.
I just think that the offense cheated and they're going to get away with it here if we, now, so maybe the best thing to do was to not stop the game.
Right.
I don't know. I just think this play, I mean, gosh,
Yeah.
if they snap it and then just bowl forward from the 1 yard line and score, there's too much smoke not to have stopped the play.
Right. Eesh.
2 yard line. Crazy, huh?
Right.
That might create an interesting, somebody should probably write that up formally and ask what people want to do on that. Okay, we've got DPI, right? We've got
Yeah.
DPI called. At what point in this area of the field could we consider catchability of this pass as a factor, based on where the foul occurs and where the ball lands?
I'm pretty easy on that. Ball's catchable.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have much to even say on that. The ball's catchable.
Okay. Well, that was easy.
Yeah. Daniel, do you disagree?
No, I mean, you can't. Here's what I will say. You can't say this ball is uncatchable.
I know. Look where the ball, the ball's like almost hit in the green.
But here's where.
Now,
here's
was
where-
dude going to catch it? Hell no.
Right, and that's
I don't like
that's
excuse.
that's the difference, right? Like he's
Right.
running up the field towards the end line. If anything,
Right.
oriented towards the inside of the field, there is
Right.
zero chance he's going to catch this ball. So then
Zero.
maybe by definition, it's uncatchable. By our definition, we would never call this uncatchable. It's
Exactly.
too close proximity and too big of a foul, I would say.
Is this camera? I mean, is this camera playing tricks on us? Is this actually a lot closer, perhaps, than it looks as the ball whizzes by, or not?
I don't think it matters. The ball is a catch. That is a catchable pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
even if
What?
it's not.
Right. He was not. He was. I think the point is he was not going to catch it, but it still was catchable.
Hmm.
And I don't think we can judge whether he was going to catch it.
I
or
mean,
not.
now look, maybe if this ends up by the limit line over there,
Yeah, that's a little different.
Okay.
in these
All right.
super cramped sidelines over here that look just inappropriate in this magnitude,
Whoa,
then maybe we can say it's
it's a
uncatchable.
big game. Okay. Fair enough. I hear that. Quarterback's on the run a little bit here outside the pocket to Todd. What about this contact by the defense?
I think this is a tremendous call by the referee. The
Mhm.
defense clearly and obviously took an unnecessary, forcible hit on the quarterback. I mean, the dude I know we don't, well, some people may count steps. I don't count steps
No.
relative to roughing the passer. Some people still do. He took, I think, 2.5, maybe 3 steps to contact the quarterback with a shoulder, clearly not making any attempt to play the ball. He's just making an attempt to hit and punish the quarterback. So I think this is a great call by the referee.
I think we've talked before about, we get a shoulder into the quarterback and then we extend with 2 arms right there. That's pretty evident of
It's punishing. He's just punishing. Yeah.
Punishing contact, and certainly is forcible enough. And he could have easily avoided that 2-arm shove.
Absolutely.
I mean, come in here, spin off, wrap the quarterback up, hold him up, do something, show us something you're trying to avoid this much punishment.
Right.
And we are good. Cool. What a play, or what a sequence.
I know.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
Little catch, no catch. Oh, we're going back to your favorite bowl of the season, DY. Lending
The
Tree Bowl.
Lending Tree Bowl, baby.
When do we stop giving bowl games like actual names and just give it like the
Financial institutions.
Yeah, like what is that? What is a Lending Tree Bowl? What is that?
I think that happened probably when ESPN took over every single bowl game in the universe.
Right. At least just call it the Mobile Bowl, the Lending Tree Mobile
Lending Tree
Bowl.
Mobile Bowl. Yeah, call it by its city. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lending Tree Bowl, because next year is going to be something else, the Tax Act Bowl. Like, well, I mean,
Oh, we already have
God.
that. Yeah.
Oh, we do?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sure.
Okay.
The Turbo Tax Bowl.
Yeah.
We have that.
The Rocket Mortgage Bowl.
I
Like, come
believe
on.
we have
man.
that.
Get out of
Randy,
here.
will you stop? You don't know about.
I really don't.
Yeah, he
Okay,
knows
wow,
nothing about college football.
Ooh, catch, no catch.
Wow.
This is
So this is what was interesting about this play, and I'm probably gonna go on mute as Brandon claims he does on every play.
No.
This play, how can you possibly have a catch when a receiver clearly demonstrates that he did not maintain firm control? And I'm gonna go on mute and
What?
well, watch the receiver as he went to
Oh.
the ground. The ball was clearly not in his firm control, but the ball also never hit the ground until a clear and obvious second act by the defender. So in my opinion, this is a catch, but
Wow.
the ball never, yes, but the dude did not have firm control, clearly. But I still think it's a catch. So I'm gonna go on mute.
Well, you're saying he never had firm control. You don't feel like?
No, I'm saying he didn't maintain firm control.
Oh, he
Sorry,
didn't
I should have
maintain-
been.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
when he went to the ground, he did not. You can see he does not have firm control of that ball.
So then help me make that a catch by rule.
I know. Well, what is by rule? The only way a ball can be incomplete is if it hits the ground, right?
Sure.
And then we always talk about this second act business, right?
Mhm.
I see a clear and obvious second act by the defender that makes the ball hit the ground, which means to me, the
Well-
ball didn't hit the ground independent of the defender, which means to me that I'm going to say that this dude caught the ball.
But a second act by a defender to make the ball come loose doesn't absolve the element of time requirement. It's a good tool to help us use it.
Mhm.
But if we rip the ball out from the defense perspective, now look, if we have perform a second act and we're going to the ground from the offense perspective, that does remove the element of time consideration. Now it's over.
I
But
disagree
then-
with you, Daniel.
Well,
I think second act applies to both offense and defense.
you think by rule, or you're just saying that's your Tutas Salam interpretation?
I think that's my interpretation, but what
I don't think that works. I think the defense's job is to dislodge the ball. And if they're able to do that prior to the element of time being satisfied, then the ruling's incomplete.
so let me ask you
But I
this,
like
is
how you
ele-
did say it's a tool. It can be a tool to indicate the element of time
Absolutely.
is complete,
Absolutely.
depending on how it happens, which is confusing.
Yeah.
So on an upright versus receiver going to the ground, is element of time relevant?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So element of time is so how do we apply element of time with a receiver going to? Okay, do we agree that this dude is going to the ground?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, during the
Yes.
process. Okay. So
Yeah.
how do we apply the element of time for a receiver going to the ground?
Well, he's got to maintain firm control when he goes to the ground. We know that,
Okay. And if he
right? He's got to
doesn't,
survive the ground.
right. And if he
But
doesn't, then it's an incomplete pass.
right.
Okay. So if we take both of these two student athletes away, especially student athlete number 26,
Uh-huh.
this ball never would have hit the ground.
That may be true. That may be true, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean, this is what I was trying to say. Second, the defense, the defense's job is to create this incomplete pass, to dislodge this ball.
Right.
By rule, in my opinion, they have a window of time where they can do that, even if firm control is initially established. If they're able to do that prior to the element of time necessary by rule to complete the catch, then they've done what they're supposed to do and they deserve to be rewarded. Even if, like you said, I totally agree, absent of that, he's got the ball on his hand, or he's got his hand on the ball rather, and probably stays there long enough for it to be a catch. And look, you can go through this process and say, here's when firm control starts. He's hit, he goes to the ground, he maintains firm control. I believe this satisfies the element of time. But I don't think we can say just because the ball's ripped that the element of time requirement goes away. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So I think what I was doing was eliminating my evaluation of firm control, because it's clear and obvious he does not maintain firm control. And I was just going to element of time because I kind of felt like the ball stayed on his body long enough, but it has to stay on his body long enough while he's maintaining firm control, I guess, is
Exactly.
the part that I was skipping.
So like, yeah, maybe a really goofy but illustration that would help us is if there's nobody there and he just is unconscious, which that sounds crass, I don't mean it to be, but like the ball is just kind of spinning on his chest for like 5 seconds, but he doesn't have his hand on it, and then it ends up falling on the ground. Well, that would by rule be an incomplete pass,
right?
Mhm.
As weird as that would be. And just
No, but I mean,
I'm
it's
still
basically
struggling.
an analogy to this play because
Yeah,
I
but I'm
think
struggling with this second act business, man. This dude he ripped the ball from this dude's
he already
loose
lost control.
control.
Loose control. What?
I know it's stupid. I
The
know it's
heck?
stupid. I know it's stupid. I know. Look, I get it.
Ball's already out. So the ball's
It's-
already out, and then he swats it away.
He didn't swat it away. He
What?
grabbed it and pulled it. I mean, the
Okay.
ball is out from this dude's firm control, but he still had some modicum of control.
He's trying to regain control here. This is an attempt at a regather, but you can't pin the ball against your leg to constitute control.
Yes, you can.
What?
Yes, you can. With your hand, you can. Absolutely. You don't have to have 2 arms.
I'm
and
sorry.
2 hands.
Okay.
But
Hit it against your leg. Okay. What am I
yeah,
thinking?
you can't. All you have
What
to
am I
have is
thinking?
you have to use. You can't pin
you
it
can't
with
like
2
pin it
legs.
between your
Pin it.
legs.
Pin
Yeah,
it
you
with
can't
your
use 2
legs.
legs.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
As long as you
Yep.
have 1 hand or arm or something like that, then you're
Well,
fine.
okay.
So what I guess what I'm saying though is, man, my guy clearly doesn't have firm control, but he has like maybe 2% control, and then this dude just rips the ball out. I mean, he didn't. The ball came out unnaturally. Man, I don't know, man. I get it. Incomplete pass, great, but I like this as a catch. I'm sorry.
Just goes against your sensibilities, is what you're saying.
It does.
Yeah, this is incomplete.
Yeah, because he's already lost it.
It's a really interesting play. It
It
really
is going to the ground. He's already lost it right here.
Yeah, but it never. It didn't hit the. A pass is only incomplete when it hits the ground. So it's not incomplete when he
No,
lost.
It's
That's
not
true.
incomplete yet.
That's true.
Agree. It's
It's-
not
He's
incomplete
just
yet.
lost firm
Right.
control.
But he hasn't completed the process of the catch and loses. So he has a chance to regather.
Which he did.
He's
Right. Keep going. Keep going.
attempting,
Oh, look at that. Oh, I got it back. I got it.
but not in
Not
real
even
time.
rip-
So this is a good
really
one.
slow.
We really don't want to, because yes, you can make it look like right here, his hand's on it and that ball's frozen, but it's really not. And this is even TV puts this in slow motion too. In real time, he just knocks this out.
And you make a great, and this is something we want to make sure that we've got internalized and are consistent with. This is when the second act by the defender is really relevant, because if we maintain firm control throughout this process, and then 26 rips this out, which, by the way, one of the cool things about this bowl game I really enjoyed hearing about was that 26 is Sean Taylor, the late, great Sean Taylor's little brother.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Which was so cool. I don't know why that was to me. I guess I just really enjoyed the way he played the game. So, and I had no idea he was playing football at Rice. So anyways, but if he maintains firm control and then we rip it out, then we don't want to say, oh, well, he didn't survive the ground because he lost control. No, the defender's second act ripped it out, and he did survive the ground.
Yeah, so I think the lesson to be learned here for everyone who, like me, was saying this is a catch, which I'm still 1% saying it's a catch, is we can't ignore the element, all of the different elements of a catch. And he clearly did not maintain firm control. So even though the ball was ripped from his 1% control, we can't say that that's firm control.
Oh man, look, if this is, whatever, NFL playoff game, and and we're just using NCAA catch rules. I'm not an expert on NFL catch rules, but anyways, and we rule this incomplete. This is one of the ones that the public has all the outrage about how we don't know what a catch
What's a
or not a
catch?
catch is.
What's a
Yeah,
catch?
right, exactly right. It's absolutely that kind of play.
Right.
But I mean, just fundamentally, when he bobbles this ball, the catch process starts over.
Correct.
He doesn't get credit for anything he's accomplished up until then because he didn't complete the process.
That's a great point, Brandon. So the element of time literally hasn't even begun for the second time yet, because he never established the firm control again after losing it originally.
Right. And to your point, here's where I think what I'm hearing you say. To your point, if he does control this for just a little bit more time on the ground and then it's ripped out, it's a catch.
Yes.
But he just doesn't. I think
he didn't have the time to do that. Right.
He didn't have the time. Yeah. So this is really just a knocked out versus, ripped out of possession. This is a knocked out pass. That's my terminology. It makes sense to me. So you guys don't have to follow along there, but that's why it's so easy for me to see this as incomplete.
We generally don't follow along
video
with your thought processes, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not. At least I don't. I don't know if Daniel does.
It maintains my competitive advantage over you.
Well, I don't even know what that means. I'm totally baffled now by that statement. You have zero competitive advantage. Hey, by the way, speaking of competitive advantage, Rice is in what state, Daniel? What state is the Rice Owls? What state do they play football in?
Rice Owls is in not only the great state of Texas, but also the lovely, beautiful, historic city of Houston.
Gotcha. So now, and football was like created in Texas, I think, right? Everybody says
no. Where are you, Brandon? Right
now?
Yeah,
I'm in Chicago.
Yeah, I think that's the birthplace of football, isn't it?
Well, I thought, everybody in Texas, you think that football was created there.
No, not created, just perfected and maybe inappropriately idolized.
Right. Okay. So the state of Texas in bowl season now is 0-5, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I didn't know.
I'm sorry. All right, we can go to the next play. Just wanted to make a small point there.
All right. Well, let's see how tonight goes, buddy.
Who plays tonight?
Okay, are there people now who have done things who we absolutely, specific people, not just a big mess, but are there specific players who have done something that there's just no way in the world we can justify not penalizing them with a UNS? And absent of that, we really want to work and make our efforts geared towards getting the guy who started the whole thing and made it a mess.
Right.
So we're talking about number 99 here for, I don't know, North Texas, white jerseys coming in and just absolutely, this is the most obvious late hit I think any of us have ever seen, out of bounds. And then it leads to a mess. And so there's going to be a lot of actions that occur that are probably not within the scope of the rules. But you're talking about trying to actually enforce a penalty against the instigator of who started all this. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, I think that's I think that's really what we want to try. And this is a weird way to say it, but that's where we want to gear our efforts towards as we're now trying to make sense of this. We've all been in this situation at one level or another. And there's a lot of adrenaline flowing and there's a lot of confusion flowing, to be honest, also, right? How many times have we seen these where there's multiple players involved and then officials are coming up and we just start raining flags as high as we can get them, and maybe not even really understanding or knowing exactly who we're throwing it on and for what, which is probably a good thing we could review in and of itself. And whenever we get to the end of this, we're all going to sit back and try to sort through this whole thing and figure out who did what and who we're going to penalize. And really right there, 99 is the student athlete who created this entire mess for everybody with a clear and obvious overt act that's a safety issue. And so everything that the black team does, even if it's some of it is outside the rules, which it clearly is in response to their quarterback getting assaulted in the white, right? Outside of the field of play. So all of that makes sense from a football perspective. So all I'm saying is I think it's worth for us as a crew when we're sitting here and we're debriefing on the field, trying to figure out who we're going to penalize them for what, that we keep in mind that 99's action were, egregious may be too strong of a word, but a clear and obvious late hit out of bounds against the quarterback. And that started this whole thing. So it really is hard to swallow if you're team A when we get out of this. And we know by rule, any kind of UNS or UNRs are going to cancel each other and there's not going to be a penalty assessed. That's hard to swallow for team A. And so I think as officials, if we can keep in mind that B99's action started all of this and work towards a way where we penalize him and the defense because of his actions, that's a better result. And look, we can't go so far as to say that there's nothing, right? Like there's nothing team A could do that could rise to the level of a unit. We're just going to ignore what they do. But I think we look at it through the lens of, okay, what player on team A did something that we just absolutely cannot live with and is really above and beyond what we would consider a response or a reaction to B99's hit.
So basically something beyond pushing and shoving that we see.
Yeah, something just so severe that we just cannot allow to happen.
Right.
So, okay. So now look at the play clock on this play. It's running, it's winding down. It expires. Officials are going to kill it. A lot of players stop, but not 91 for Kansas State here.
The back judge probably was really late on killing it. An obvious delay of game foul probably is what happened on this play.
Well,
so
21 other players felt like he was totally, in the reasonable amount of time. But before we get into that, let me just make this comment because you guys don't like to talk about delay game mechanics enough. We don't talk about it enough.
Daniel, come on.
Let's just talk about this. No, this is serious, sincerely. From a back judge perspective, when the snap is imminent, make sure that we're not being lazy, just a casual flag toss and a tweet on the whistle. This is exactly why you want to come in aggressively, big whistle, killing the clock and throwing your flag. Really, it's the whistle, right, that they're going to respond to.
Correct.
The body language, all of that, those are appropriate mechanics. Don't just be casual back there when we're doing that. This back judge was not, I can assure you.
So the center judge is signaling early. Just again, this needs to include a whistle right here. And I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm sure it does, but you just want to make sure that we're blowing the whistle, getting the play shut down. Do you agree? I mean, do you hold your whistle in your mouth or in your hand or where do you, two-top back there, where do you have your whistle?
It varies, believe it or not, because sometimes my whistle is sort of like one of my coping mechanisms. I sit there and I'll twirl it around in between my fingers, or I'll have it in my mouth chewing on it, but it's always right there ready to go. And I agree with you. And if we can extrapolate even to any time when we have a quote unquote phantom whistle or inadvertent whistle, which I know we don't like to talk about, if we hear a whistle, everybody on the field, your job is to hammer your whistle and echo it. We don't echo whistles, the play down. But that's one where we have to shut it down. If you hear a whistle, everybody needs to start shutting the play down, I think.
So this is one where 91, this is late, this is forcible. Okay, so can we ignore this clear and obvious taunt by 6, right? For standing over 91.
Right.
That's kind of what we were just talking about.
Well, he may
Yeah.
have asked 91 to please not hit him late. That's what he may have said. So if he said that, I think we can accept that, right?
Okay, and then we have a potential, some could evaluate number 6's action as a taunt. Some could evaluate number 66's actions as unnecessary roughness as well.
Well, unsportsmanlike conduct. probably.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, non-football play. Okay, whatever. So DUI, back to this whole thesis you were talking about in this situation,
Oh my gosh.
what, you're offering that really to make this for justice, 91 is the one who should be penalized.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, if we come out of this and we say UNS on 6, nobody's going to say that's wrong. That's
Yeah.
incorrect call. If we say UNS on 66, talking about team A for his shove, probably nobody's going to really argue really hard that that's wrong or an incorrect foul to call. But we end up in a situation under our rules where 91, who started all of this with, again, not just a push or a shove. I mean, he smokes his little quarterback late when everybody else on the field had stopped playing football.
Mhm.
That act doesn't end up getting penalized. And I think it's something that we need to consider, because if we go through this again, well, okay, so we've got whistles blown, everybody's stopping, 91 crushes the quarterback. So the quarterback now gets up and by rule taunts a little bit. Okay, why does he do that? Well, he just got murdered outside of the scope of playing football.
Mhm.
All right, so now number 29 is going to react to that because that's not cool. Don't do that to my player. Well, you just pushed 66 quarterback, and the reason that he got pushed was because he was taunting because 91 murdered. So I know that we could get a little bit carried away with that, but the point is 91's clear and obvious illegal act started all of this stuff. And so to end up in a situation where he doesn't get penalized for that, I think is not what's best for the game. And again, a great time for our disclaimer, not trying to say that, we're any authoritative body, but just from my perspective, and you guys may feel differently, which is totally okay. But from my perspective, the best outcome on this play would be UNR against the defense, number 91 being penalized, I think half the distance in this case after the delay game.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that's the best outcome, because while 66 actions by rule are probably rise to the level of UNS, even 6s, I don't think they're so egregious that we just can't get away by saying, you know what, really 91 is the reason we're in this situation, so let's penalize the defense. So that's where I'm at. I think it's an interesting consideration. And I think it's a thought process we need to go through as we're, again, I don't know if debriefing is the best word, but working through deconstructing this whole series of events when we're deconstructing it on the field, trying to decide who we're going to penalize.
Mhm. If we can, I don't know if you guys talked about this at all, but we could afford to perhaps provide a little more physical presence from the men in stripes to this. It's a little
Yeah.
bit playing the result.
Right. No, I agree.
But if we're in the habit of, I don't think we're going to prevent 91 from doing what he did. If we try to prevent him, we're probably going to get absolutely crushed as well.
Yeah.
But if we get in there now, and I know we're throwing flags, we can always throw flags. Again, this is totally playing the result, but trying to learn as well.
No, I agree.
Perhaps 21 doesn't have the clear path to get him, and then 66 doesn't have the clear path to get him. So yeah, we get there. And again, I fully understand this sounds like playing the result and standing up on high and, saying, well, if I would have been there, I would have done. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, I wonder if I have this, I can get in there a little bit faster to provide a physical presence.
Can we go back?
If you're the one officiating this play, you need to ask yourself that exact question. You come to the result where, no, I think that's as quick as I can. That's one thing, but you need to evaluate this and try to. I think that's a great point.
So can we go back to the first play of the vignette to quote Steve Shaw and
Shaw?
Yeah. So we're talking about this whole deal with trying to penalize the aggressor. Is there
a lot of times we use the word instigator, right?
Okay. Yeah. Is there any room for us to say, I know technically 99, not technically, actually 99's hit was late, but is there any room for us to call that a live ball foul and then call everything else a dead ball foul? And that way we would get the aggressor, which would be the intended result, but it's not necessarily supported maybe by rule. Will we ever do that?
Mm, I
Can't do
like
that.
what I like what you're saying. I mean,
I do, but I do too, but you can't really do
because
that, can
you
we?
could say, I mean, you would
It's a
just have
late
to
hit
say
out of bounds.
unnecessary roughness.
Yeah,
Your foul would have to be unnecessary roughness by number 99.
right,
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct by a million other people.
right,
All those unsportsmanlike conducts offset or cancel, as it would be.
right,
And the penalty for number 99's foul is enforced 15 yards.
right. But how can we do that?
I don't
when
think by rule you
by rule we
technically
can't,
can,
right.
but it sure makes sense. Because then the result of everything is what you kind of are going towards, which is 99's penalty is enforced,
That's
and
right.
Right.
everybody else puts a UNS counter.
That's
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah, but it's great, but
Good
it's
idea.
not. It's not by the rules.
It's not.
You know, and that's what
No.
that's my question. Can we go against the rules? The only thing, you know, number 7 in black, he does something early that we could say is clear and obvious UNS, and then there's just a bunch of shoving, like you were saying, Daniel. So
Just shoving and pushing and big face.
Mhm.
yeah, absent of any obvious thing, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out.
It's tough. It is. It's a tough situation. And especially on the field, you feel like somebody's got to get something else with all this going down. But when we evaluate this on film, my thought process was the exact same too, Todd. Who am I looking at that does something that is just so egregious? There is no way I can get away without penalizing them.
And there's
Right.
nothing that you really see that
And it's
that
just a
jumps out
bunch
like
of
that.
shoving and pushing. And Team
Right.
Black is going to get their quarterback.
Right,
Like their
right,
quarterback who just got hit late in the enemy's territory. Like
Right.
that's reasonable for them to go and do that. And then we end up pushing and shoving because they're in their sideline. That's a reasonable part of that too. Not what we want to see, right? Not a part of the game, but again, going back to why it all started.
right.
I think it would be easy to make this a rule. You know, in the official's judgment, an instigator will be penalized, and others responding, you know, can have a UNS counter attached to them. That's somebody smart could come up with a way to write that in the rules.
I think
not
it would have to be a late hit that is right as the
football
ball is
in
becoming
the continuing
dead.
action.
Yes,
Yeah.
continuing
Yeah.
action late hit.
Continuing action.
Yeah.
I like that.
Responders will also have a unsportsmanlike conduct foul against them with no penalty at yardage enforced or something. I don't know.
But the other will be treated as a live ball foul. I think that's the key. We have to
Maybe
treat
you
the
could do
first
it
one as
that
a
way.
live ball foul.
Yeah. And I don't know if that would provide an unintended consequence somewhere else in the rules, which it probably would.
I could see where it would.
Yeah, because you end up
slide-
with an
slide on
illegal
fourth
shift
down.
by Team A
Yeah.
or illegal formation, and now you're offsetting
Right.
that because of a quarterback got crushed, which isn't really what the rule
Right.
either.
Or you
Oh,
could have
yeah.
a slide on fourth down where you have to hit that's technically dead ball, but it's really a live ball action type of
Mhm.
foul. And then now we're not going to give the ball to team B. We're going to
Right.
give the ball back to team A. So that could be a danger of doing that as well.
Mhm.
But I
Maybe
think
not an
that-
easy solution. I just think something we
No.
can think about.
Did you want to talk about your delay a game call anymore?
Well, unfortunately, we don't get the angle that shows the emphatic nature in which the clock was killed and flag was thrown. But I would just ask for you guys to trust me on that.
Okay. You
How
have
many tenths of a second was beyond between the clock and the going to zero and the snap here? Did you measure it?
I did 76 tenths.
That'd be 76 hundredths, but that's okay. 7.6 tenths. You maybe want to do there.
7.6 tenths. That's right. My bad. 76 hundredths. And you know, it's right there. It's right there on the edge from a delay game mechanics perspective. But
Oh,
Daniel, you clearly
work the
have-
process.
The players have zero respect for your whistle.
Well, easy. One player has zero respect for my whistle. 21 others were just showed the appropriate amount of respect for my whistle.
you probably want to have the respect of all 22 players. I don't know if you know
I do.
that.
That's true. I do. Let me also just say this at the risk of sounding self-serving, because it's really not the goal. This was our play. spoiler alert, we ended up only penalizing the delay of game and the UNR by B91. And obviously as a crew, we had a lot of conversation about that after the fact. And again, this is just us internally working through it. We really, really felt good about that result. We really did. And the process to getting there. We didn't ignore the other two actions. We discussed them. And so that's really what kind of spurned this thought process, was this play and then seeing the play in the bowl game. And I just think as a crew, I would encourage the community, the universe, to just talk about how you want to handle these plays, and have, at the very bare minimum, right, have as a piece of the conversation. Because look, when it's two guys going back and forth, we know by philosophy, we want to get the instigator. That is a philosophy that has been well-traveled, right? We talk about that often. It's a little bit different when we have these multiple kind of like tentacles that come off of the initial action. But I think it's valuable as a crew to just keep in mind when we're having this conversation, what really started all of this. And if we go through that and then we say, but yeah, there's no way we cannot have a flag down for this. Well, that's fine. That may be appropriate in many cases. But if we can say, well, this guy really started it, and I think this and this was a result of that and wasn't so egregious, that I think we can get away with, not penalizing it and making sure the guy that started it gets tagged. Well, I think there's value in that.
Yeah. Because what's really unfair is if that's the line to gain, which we see the quarterback was clearly short of the line to gain. This was a really integral, and let's make this a really integral play. Let's make this 4th down or even 3rd down. And now he's short of the line to gain. Now we just penalize all this together. Well, guess what? The down counts now. Team A, I mean, it's just really it's unfair to Team A. Golly, that is so unfair.
Hey, look, they just got to show discipline. They got to show anybody who's been on the field, even as an official or played the game. That's their guy. That's their quarterback over there. These are responses that are natural to young men playing a very intense and physically aggressive game. Doesn't make everything okay, but let's not fall into that. Well, they just got to have discipline. I don't know. Doesn't really work practically.
I love how you worked yourself into, for those of us who played the game.
Right.
Daniel, you left your shoes.
No. I said those of us who.
But then he tried to be nice. He tried to be nice.
Those of us who've been on
an official or
as players, or even officials,
or
everybody's played at some level.
Very skillfully,
for the most part.
Good job with the vignette. That was really nice.
Yeah,
really nice presentation.
Well done. High quality production value.
Oh yeah.